So welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started with this month's September's CSG Medicare Pros Team Huddle. Excited for you all to be here. Again, I know a number of you are popping in still from the WAP training. And so we're excited to have some additional information. I felt honestly a little scattered in getting ready for this because I was on the WAP training as well about the call compliance and recording. And so I've written some notes. So we'll talk a little bit about some of that and answer some questions that you might have. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'll show you what the agenda is. If I completed it, I don't even know if I finished that. Hold on a second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so there's our agenda. Want to start and talk about a few things that we've just heard, if you were on that call, and maybe answer some questions if you have some. But the call recording is obviously a huge thing on your mind. We'll talk a little about that. I think I noticed that David Wessling is on our call, so maybe I can unmute him and he can be a good resource for us on this. Also wanted to just remind you about being ready to sell and other AEP preparations. I thought it would be helpful just because we've got some newer agents as well, but just a quick reminder about assessing eligibility. So we'll take a quick peek at my eligibility decision tree that you should all have. If you've misplaced it, I can send it again. I do have a library that you received an invitation to on my website, kind of like Western Asset has on theirs. And so documents, recordings from the pro tips, team huddles are also on there as well. And then we'll want to talk about compliant presentations. As we are being recorded now, we want to make sure, not that we didn't care about this in the past, we did, but want to make sure that we are really tight on and compliant in what we're presenting, and then possibly do some Q&A at the very end. I think we'll have a few minutes for that. So I'm actually going to go out of this screen because that's the last we're going to see of this. So let me do this first. I want to give David a chance to share some things here if he wishes to. David, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Aaron. How you doing, buddy?
Great. Doing very good.
I hope everybody wasn't confused. Was everybody on that with you?
I'm not sure. Maybe we can do a quick hand raise or in the chat, maybe indicate if you are on this, and we can on the previous Western Asset webinar.
Yeah. What I would say, because I'm learning along with you guys, because it was both Cord and Nate, really the subject matter experts. Although I've had peaks of this, and I listened to just what they did, and just to let everybody know, if you do go to the Medicare engine and you log in and you go to the Medicare library, there are, I believe, 2 videos about what they just discussed. And then once again, I believe they did mention that there's another training tomorrow. Just, once again, you could go to the Medicare engine, go to the events calendar. You'll see it on there. You could register for it and get another dose of it. We're all learning it. We're all coming up with different questions to ask and everything. But I think, in my opinion, I think there's somebody certainly could differ. But, Integrity, our parent company, has put this together. And what you definitely want to do is go into the Medicare engine and then the center, and then, click on your name, and then you'll have a little drop down and it'll say account. You go into there and there's where you can retrieve that number that you want to use whenever somebody calls you through that number. Then it's going to be recorded. Or if somebody's calling you on your regular phone number, as they mentioned, what you're going to want to do is let them know, hey, I got to call you back on another number that's going to record, because obviously they don't have, none of your clients, none of your prospects right now have that unique number. So I think that's one of the little hurdles, if you will, at the beginning of this, call recording new era that we have. But just know that you do have those videotapes, and there'll be more added, but you'll have every week up to AEP the opportunity to look at those recordings. Also over the next, I think 2 or 3 weeks, Wednesday and Thursday, the live presentations from both Cord and Nate. So
great. Yeah, thanks for that, David.
Yeah, we're in a new world, aren't we? I mean, I remember in 2008 when Scope of Appointments came out and everybody was pulling their hair out about that. And, somehow, some way we get through it, right? And we'll move on. We'll still make sales and help people. And, like I said, I mean, this one's a little bit tougher because a little bit more manual labor to just get through a sales cycle. But we'll be here to support you as much as we can, but we're also learning as we go too.
So just to illustrate what David is talking about, for those of you who aren't super familiar with the Medicare library, so you should be seeing the Medicare library here. David, do you see that on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so from here you scroll down and you've got the first example of that right here. So these two are trainings that are already on there. Today's training will be put on there pretty quickly, I would assume.
Yeah.
If you're way behind, if you're feeling like you're way behind and need to start from ground zero, then go on these trainings, listen to them. I think they're probably each an hour, and then yeah, you'll be caught up quickly. Now, also, I'll tell you that we are all leaning on WAP for this. I don't know any more than you do, and so this is one of the wonderful blessings that we get from being associated with Western Asset, is that they are running a show for all of us. So questions that you have, I would encourage you directly to go to Western Asset. Nate is Johnny on the spot for this. If David, is he the right one to go to, or is somebody else there?
Yeah, and if you call in the normal number, you have Tamara, who is nobody's as good as Nate, but Tamara's up to date and can navigate some of that. And then I'm probably right behind her a couple of steps, because she's handling the phone calls and stuff. But Nate's available too, and you could always email him, Nate@westernasset.com as well. But we're here to help. I think once you start using it, like anything else, you start becoming accustomed to it. I remember when electronic enrollments came out, not far after the Scope of Appointments, and there was another hurdle, right?
Yeah.
And I was old school. I did paper apps all the time, so I was really adverse to doing electronic enrollment. Really didn't trust it, and all that. And then when I started doing them, I was like, God, I'm never going back to paper, because I didn't have to fax anything. I didn't, and in faxing, there was always that one piece of paper that didn't make it through. So you had to go back home, refax it. It just crazy. So we'll get over it. I mean, it's a little bit of hump, a little bit of a learning curve, but you know what? Those of you that have been in the Medicare industry, it's happened before, and you've jumped over those hurdles before, and you'll do this as well.
And those of you that are new, hey, you're learning the system just like we are. So
Right.
this will be old hat to you pretty quickly, and it will. You know, I think that with anything that's new like this, it's going to be a little sluggish. My guess is that we'll have a little bit of leeway as we get going on this, but I definitely encourage us all to be ready on whenever we're doing a presentation, October 1st, 2nd, 15th, whenever, to be ready to record in whatever way that you choose to. I think that the tool that WAP has, including the CRM that goes with it, I think that's a nice piece. There's a lot to understand and unpack here, but if you're using WAP for the whole suite of recording, of enrolling online on the Medicare app, then it sounds like there's an integrated solution for you to do all that. It does sound, as David mentioned before, that the phone calls and the recording and the different numbers is going to be a little bit get used to, and it sounds like there's a sandbox or a place where you can test it out without actually enrolling somebody a little bit. And so as we get some more information about that, we can get comfortable. But for sure, you're on this call, and we're probably on the previous call that WAP did, because you know how important this is, and it's prioritized. It's high priority for you. So I'd make sure you keep that on the top of your priorities here.
Yeah, and you'll probably think of things in between the opportunities of the Wednesday, Thursday live version of them, both Cord and Nate doing what just happened, and then go back to those and ask those questions. And we still have a couple of weeks before October 1st, and just make sure you get that number going, and try it out and get over that hump. It's like anything else. Hey, and Aaron, just to let you know, I at the bottom of the hour, I have to go. I have a 12 o'clock that I have to drive to. So
okay,
I'm only going to be here until like 11:30 or so.
Okay, great.
But I wanted to jump in because I haven't been on one of your calls in a while. We've been busy with WAPCon.
Yeah, understood, which was fantastic. I was thrilled. I'm looking at the list of people that are on the call today, and almost every single one of them were either in person or virtual. So we had a real nice representation at that as well. And by the way, if you missed some parts of WAPCon, you signed up for it and you're either virtual or live, don't forget that you can go back and watch some segments. You can watch, I think everything's recorded, right, David? And so they can go back and pick and choose what they want to watch, including some of the ones that were the breakout sessions, different topics than we got live that were virtual. So you should be able to access that as well, if I'm understanding correctly.
Absolutely. And if you attended, then at the front desk when you came in, you had the little tracking, right? Track 1, track 2. And then you had the third part was resources. And a lot of people were confused. We should have put on there online resources or breakouts, because even some of the people that represented carriers thought, David, I didn't know I had a breakout here. I did a video, but I didn't know what room do I go to. And I'm like, oh, no, that's online. So there are some videos there online that you could go to and see, just as you said, Aaron. And a lot of good information. I think it went really well. It's been, the last time there was a face-to-face, I was actually with a carrier, and it was at the same venue back in 2019. And for me, and I've been to all of them except for the very first one in 2016, but 2017 on, I've been to all the WAPCons. And I really thought that this last one was pulled together really well. And far be it from me to ever take any credit for it, because, you know, the following, like even next year's, they start working on it next week, no lie. And that's how much work goes into it. You walk around and you think, oh, you know, you throw this thing together in a couple of months. No, it's a year long. It's a year long to get that going. And but I thought it went well. I hope everybody enjoyed it and took advantage of meeting the broker managers for the carriers and some of the other vendors that were out there, Delta Dental and some other places, and some of the providers, you know, Centerwell, Oak Street, all them, Archwell. It's a great opportunity to shake hands and get to know people and find opportunities for yourself as a broker, to see how you could fit it into your calendar for AEP and get in front of some people. Because one of the cool things about getting in front of people, as we know, is you don't have to record it, right? If you're doing an in-home face-to-face, you don't have to worry about all the recording stuff. So,
yeah, that's true. Okay, well, I guess, team, while you're on the call here, David's only got about another 10 minutes with us. If you have questions specifically for him, please throw them out in the Q&A, or I can unmute you if you raise your hand and say, hey, let me talk out loud. Happy to do that. You know, I guess a couple things I'll talk about right now, and that's in regards to AEP and being ready for AEP. Top of your list should be being ready to sell. And I would encourage you strongly, even if you've completed certifications, just double check with the carrier, and then, you know, put a big, you know, check mark next to them that they're completed. I thought I was done with WellCare, and then in WAPCon, there was some discussion about you have to go into the WellCare's Centene workbench and do something there. And so I tried to do that last night, and I need to figure out how to crack the login. But anyway, my point is, just make sure that you're done, that you're complete as soon as you can be with your certifications, and double, triple check.
Yeah, and Aaron, can I piggyback on that real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Just make sure, if you are doing any of the value-based provider things, and you know this, but it's good to bring up again, with whatever plans, because some of them, like let's say, like for example, you know, I don't know, I think Centerwell's with everybody, but there's some of them like Archwell where they're only accepting 4 or 5 of the different carriers, something like that. You want to make sure that those carriers, if they are offering a particular module to do retail, because that'll fall under the retail umbrella. You want to make sure that you do that certification, so you can qualify to do that. And or, you know, and even going beyond that, if you're selling C-SNP or D-SNP, you know, like with United or any of them, make sure you're taking those modules. Not just don't get certified with their general MA plans. There's specific modules for, you know, chronic special needs plans and dual special needs plans that you need to take. Otherwise, you'll sell them, and the carrier will accept the application, but they're not going to pay you because you didn't take the certification, and they're not going to backdate it either. So you want to make sure that you get that done. And then just another heads up, in case I don't get a chance to say it, here at WAP off of Bell Road, 4550 East Bell Road up in Phoenix. Bell Road is also Frank Wright Lloyd, if you're taking it off the 101 and it turns into Bell. But Saturday, October 1st, we'll have kits here. If you need to get some kits, we'll have them here. We're going to be here all day. And then also, not the 7th, but 2 weeks later on October 15th, we'll be here also if you need kits. So order them through your carriers if you haven't done it, or if you need some extras, come on by October 1st, that's Saturday, and we'll have them. We're already getting tons of boxes here. They're literally in our hallways here at our WAP office. So please just come on in anytime. I think we'll be here from 8 to 5 on October 1st.
I think the preferred method is for you to put a request in online. Is that right, David?
Yeah, that's right. You want to do that.
So I would request it online. Don't just show up. But yeah, that's if you haven't ordered or you've ordered and you find that you need some more, just request it and they'll let you know what they've got for you. But yeah, ready to sell, make sure you're ready to sell. And I appreciate you bringing those other modules up, those other training curriculums for some of the carriers in particular. If you're doing any retail, a Walmart, and a lot of you might not be familiar with this value-based, when David referenced that, but that's these medical groups like Village Medical or these different ones that you saw the booths for at WAPCon. You can work in those with, if you're approved to do that from them. Mostly those are those situations are happening in Maricopa County. I don't know, we don't have any agents in Pima, but a lot of our agents are out of Maricopa County, so that's not, we don't see that outside of Maricopa County much. But if that's something that you are interested in, then we can connect you to some of that. But back to the point, United Healthcare, Humana in particular, and I know some others do as well, but those two for sure, if you're working at a Walmart, which we've got a number of people working Walmart or Fry's, or those are carriers that are going to be top of your list as needed, and that you have to get the events basics courses from them. So if you have not done that, then you need to right away. And if you need help, in particular, the United Healthcare module is super tricky. So if you failed it once, you do get 6 tries, but we don't want to have you do that. So if you need help with that, I know Nathan has offered, he's probably memorized the questions. I can help you with that as well. But anyway, ready to sell. If you're not ready and you don't want to miss out on opportunities, or like David said, sign somebody up and not get the commission. Okay, so let me point one thing out. In regards to the Pearl, I know a lot of you are using the Pearl or wanting to use the Pearl, and this is something that you might have caught in WAP's presentation just right before this. The temporary Pearl is the one that you are accessing when you have gotten into your online enrollment tool, the Medicare app. So if you've gotten into the Medicare app, in fact, you know what, let me just open a screen here and I'll show you. All right, let me share this screen with you. Okay, so you go to the Medicare Center here. You're going to go Medicare Center again. You're going to enter, I'm not going to go there. You click your name here, and this is where you're going to access. There's 2 different Pearls. The first Pearl is the one we've used before. You get to it by going to the Medicare app. If you're not seeing the Medicare app, somebody tell me, but this is what you should be seeing. So to get this Pearl, which is one that's active now, it'll be active till the beginning of the year, and then starting in January 1st, it will not work. So you access that one from going to account overview, your name, account overview, and then on the left side, you'll see copy link. So you press copy, and then you find some app online that'll convert that to a QR code, and then that's how you use it. However, what you're going to want to use in the future, I would discourage you from doing this in a minute, and I'll tell you why. If we go back Okay, if we go back here to this login page, you really want to go to, for this permanent QR link, you want to go to account, so your name, account, and it's right down here. Now, I don't think this is active yet.
No.
Because I copied this and it was very generic. It took me to just a generic. Oh, actually, that's probably mine now. Okay, when I did this about 30 minutes ago or 45 minutes ago, it didn't show up like this. So here's a permanent link that will send people so they can shop and enroll on Connexture on the Medicare app and get enrolled without you. So if you're putting that on a business card, hopefully you haven't printed yet. I know I talked to Levi yesterday and he was getting ready to do that. Hopefully you can back up and use this one that we're looking at now, because that's the one that'll be permanent. You don't have to change it every year like we've had to in the past. So, okay, that was one thing I wanted to point out to you.
Hey, Aaron, I got to roll. Okay. I appreciate you letting me jump in. Really appreciate it. Okay. Talk to you later.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay. One other thing that I'll mention in regards to, and I did allude to this, but if you're needing assistance from Western Asset, I would definitely use the ticket process. Create a ticket. You can see on the top left corner, and when you go to create a ticket, if it's commissions, if it's contracting, if it's technology support, technical support, things like that, just click on that. We'll go tech support and put a subject line in, information. If you've got a document you need to upload, then do that. But that's the fastest way for them to see what you are, to put in order your requests. It's better than emails. So I'd highly encourage you to do that. Okay, let me just double check and see if we've got any. Okay, please, if you have questions, what I'm sharing with you is a quick review of some important things, but I want to make sure, since we're so close to AP, if you have questions, to throw it in the chat, or in the Q&A. I don't see anything in the chat right now, so I'll check that in a minute again. Okay, so I want to show you something that most of you have been introduced to, but just as a quick reminder, and this is really important right now, maybe less important than it will be starting in January and throughout the year when it's not AEP, but a really important question to not spin your wheels, which is how I developed this over a couple-year period of going out to appointments and realizing, oh, I didn't ask the right questions and they're not eligible for a plan. So I had this created in my brain and put it down on a spreadsheet a few years ago. So this can be very, very helpful. I'm not going to go through it in extreme detail, but essentially there's 4 basic questions for you to assess if somebody's eligible for a plan, when they're eligible, and what are they eligible for. So just real briefly, your primary question number 1 is, do you have Medicare Parts A and B? And you can see here, if it's yes, okay, move on to the right here and ask the next question. If not, then I want to find out where they're at, if they're just too young, and then I put them on a tracker for when they're turning 65, or if no, well, are you on Social Security disability by chance? Yes. When was that effective? Or has it been past 2 years? Okay, you probably qualify for that right now. So I'm going to give you some instructions how to get early Medicare. No, I don't have it. I just have Part A. So you can see the lines here. At the end of almost every line is going to of questioning is going to be, I can't help them now. So, but I can help them in the future. So I'm going to get their permission to call PTC to call them back and track that. That's really important, this whole process. If you go through all these questions and you aren't organized and can't track who you're trying to reach out to in the future who give you permission, then you're losing it. And then also at the bottom, you see in this bright pink purplish color is, do you know anyone on Medicare or Medicare and Access that could use my advice? Always be asking that. I think you miss opportunities if you don't. So next question, I'm not going to go through each of these. You can kind of see the if you don't have this, send me a text and I will send that to you later. But yes, I do have Medicare Parts A and B. Next question, do you have access or extra help benefits for prescriptions? This answer, you should doubt what they tell you. You confirm it is what I mean. So they say, yes, I do have access. Okay, do you have an access card? Do you have that card with you? Does that start with an A and then have 6 numbers after it or whatever it is? Yes, okay, they do have access. Perfect. I'll still want to verify that it's active, but yes. If not, they might not know. Do you receive discounted prescription costs? This is a little bit older. The dollars are a little bit older here. But you can ask some questions to ascertain if they're on access or extra help, because what does that tell us? If they are, they've got an election period that I can enroll them throughout the year. Okay, so I find out the answer to that, and then I go to the next primary question 3. Do you have a secondary plan like an Advantage or a supplement plan? What plan do you have? I want to verify, so I'm going to ask, what can you get your card out and tell me what it says? Humana Go Plus. Okay, perfect. And this is the card you show when you get prescriptions, when you go see doctors. Yes, okay, I understand what you have. Thank you. There's some line of questionings to understand, do you have VA benefits? If they don't have a plan, are they still working? So there's a lot of different lines here. I'll get this to you and it'll make sense, but I just wanted to quickly review it. And then I go to the next primary question. So I should know at this point, or have a really good idea, they're on Medicare Parts A and B. They either are or are not on access or extra help, and I should have a pretty good idea. And thirdly, are they on a plan? So that tells me what I can do next. But I always ask this question. You might have some scenarios where you have a very good idea that it's not the case, but I want to make sure that they don't qualify for access or extra help, which again, if I can discover that and help them get enrolled in that, then we've got, and this is a March or April date, then I can help them enroll in a plan because we've got that SEP, right? So can I determine, so I can determine the quality of any additional state benefits. Can you tell me your monthly gross income between you and a spouse? One of the things I've learned about this is ask it with confidence. If you ask us sheepishly, and this is not just with this question, with really anything, you're going to feel nervous about asking it. They're going to be nervous about answering it because you're not confident in asking it. So really important to do that. And here's some other questions that you can go through. You should have, if not, you should access, and I can get it for you, but the income qualification thresholds for single and married couples that will tell you if, depending on the income they tell you, you'd want to verify that that's everything, that's all the income you have. Then you should have a good idea whether you can enroll them in access or help them get enrolled in access or extra help. Okay, and then lastly, once you've asked those questions, you should have a good idea. Somebody who's on Medicare and Access, I want to verify that, or help them get on access if I think they're eligible for it. So if they're not eligible for access or LAS, then I know to ask the questions. Is this their IEP? Is that coming up? What about a SEPT? They just moved here. And if they currently have LAS or are eligible, then how can I help them with other benefits? So again, just real quick on that. if you don't have it, again, text me, I'll send it to you. And this is something that if you're newer, really, really important and really helpful. This is on my Medicare library. So if you don't have access to my Medicare library, you've ignored emails from probably Joe in my office, or you're pretty new and we might have not even gotten to the point where, okay, we're gonna go back and look at other trainings. But if you don't have access to that, it's super beneficial, and you'll want to be looking at that and accessing it for information. Okay, let me just check and see here. Okay, I don't see any chats or Q&As. All right, the next thing I wanted to share with you is in regards information about compliant presentations. So if anybody is not seeing what I've just pulled up on my Word document here, compliant and efficient presentation requirements, if you're not seeing that, somebody ping me. I think I've got it in the right spot here. So this looks like a lot, and it is. I've been added to it this morning, but this is not only compliant information, it's some recommendations that I have for you of how to have not just a compliant presentation, but one that's effective in the sales process, helping them get comfortable with the plan, but also in once they have agreed to sign up for a plan, how to solidify, how to put that hook in that they are your client and that you are their lifelong partner. So I'll just go through. If you don't have this, actually, I'll send this out because I revised it recently. But pre-appointment, I'm going to make that a little bigger. That's a little small, isn't it? Okay, so 2 columns here. So now we have to, just added this morning, to read the new Medicare disclaimer before, as we're starting any, I'm not sure any call, if it's, I don't know about that. If it's the very first time you're talking to them, and also when you're calling after you've checked medications or whatever to enroll them, I don't know if you have to read it every time. I'm probably going to start off just reading it the one time when I first am talking to them. So read the disclaimer, record calls. You want to verify it, and this is probably a lead that you've gotten a referral, or you've got a lead that's come in from a carrier or from us. Verify eligibility using a decision tree, see what kind of SEPT they might have, when can they enroll. We've got a great fillable intake sheet that I would really encourage you to use. We've developed it as an allegation deterrent or allegation protection for us. If you fill it out in a pretty decent detail and somebody comes back and says, well, they didn't check my medications, they didn't check my doctors, which is one of the top leaders in allegations, allegation incidents, you can say, I have them here, I have them on my intake. I did check that they're on Access and Medicare, and here's who I talked to when I called Health Choice to make sure they're on Access. So this is not only an information for you as you continue to work with them every year, and we use that. We update this every single year with our clients as we give customer service and retention with them efforts, but it's also to cover your butt. So that's really important. I'll send the newest version of that out as well. Okay, you want to check doctors, medications, hospitals, pharmacies, particularly in the Valley. You might be selling the plan that doesn't have Banner as one of the hospitals, or Dignity Health, and that's the hospital they go to. So that's important to check those, and obviously complete a scope of appointment before you move on to the appointment. During the appointment, I'm not going to go through all these in great detail, but it's things that you should include in your appointment. I always start, and a lot of you have seen me do this, I always start and just talk in general terms about Medicare. Okay, Medicare Parts A and B, here's what it covers. It's left you with a 20% gap of your things that you're going to have to pay for if you don't have a secondary plan. And let me talk to you about, explain about Part D and how that works, the different phases of Part D. And then what's our solution? Our solution is a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare Supplement plan. Just educate and give them information on that. Some plans, boy, I don't know if Humana is requiring that this year or not. If any of you know that, Suzette, you probably should know that since that's your bread and butter. So if you know that, make a comment in the chat or the Q&A. I didn't notice it as I went through the certification, but typically in every other year they've required a video that they have, which is nice video. It gives you a good summary of benefits. You might still want to show something like that, just to give the Medicare 101. And then you're going to go through the summary of benefits. You can see what your just examples of what you're talking about here. As you're going through the summary of benefits, perfect opportunity for you to tease hospital indemnity or hospital reimbursement plan. So Betty, here is the copays for if you're hospitalized. It's $200 a day every day for 6 days. Now this is the potential largest out-of-pocket cost for Medicare consumers in a Medicare plan like this. And my clients have asked me about, and I've found a very good option to help offset that. So it's called the hospital reimbursement plan. If you're interested, we can talk about it at the end. So remind me, and I'll give you a little bit of information then. So I'm just teasing it here, introducing the idea, and I do have some videos on the training library on my website that show exactly how to do this. So just a note here, Suzette says Humana does not require a video. Okay, great. No more video. We might double check that because you said unless you've been doing it wrong. But in the maybe last year was the last one they didn't require it anymore. We'll double check on that one. But I think you're probably right, Suzette. Okay, you want to describe, this is really important, as you're giving details, describe network scenario. Is it a HMO? Is it a PPO? Is it a HMO that allows national coverage, national network of Aetna or Humana or whoever it is? And those changes to a lot of plans for HMOs has really been very nice, great options. But you want to describe that, or referrals required. And then just a common disclaimer about if you're traveling and you don't have a nationwide network, it's PPO or HMO that offers that. If I don't have that, you can still see doctors in an emergency. But if you don't have those benefits, travel benefits, and you have a little cold, you can't go see a primary care, or you can't go see an urgent care. You have to go to emergency room, again, if their plan doesn't have those benefits. Okay, describe the formulary, what it is, how it works. Talk about, make sure, again, that you've covered the different phases of the Part D drug plan. And then look up their medications. Again, their doctors, really important to check those. Again, one of the top reasons for an allegation happening. We're required to talk about the star rating and to show them that. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to say you need to send, you need to either, if you're enrolling them, either hand them a kit if you're face-to-face, or you need to electronically send them a lot of these documents. Plan star ratings is one of those. The summary of benefits is one. I think still the multilingual insert is probably in there, but again, other things that those are things you need to email if you're doing it electronically. We won't have access to those till after the 1st. That's when WAP. You might be able to find them on the carrier websites, but WAP will have those available electronically 1st, 2nd, 3rd for all the carriers. They'll put the top carriers in first. things that are really important to talk about. What is enrollment? What's going to have to happen after the enrollment? I've actually got a segment down here on that. But disenrollment and lock-in periods. Do you still need to pay your Part B premium? People need to be reminded of that or told that if they're on the Medicare Advantage plan for the first time. As I'm describing in my Medicare 101, I'm describing Medicare Part A and B, and I say Part B has a premium of this amount that you have to pay every single month. But regardless of whatever planning we do on a secondary plan, you still have to pay that Part B unless your income is super low, or it could be higher if your income is pretty high. Talk about a late enrollment penalty for Part B and Part C. It's important. Prior authorizations in regards to the medication plans. I won't read all that, but talk about those things. Refer to Medicare.gov for additional information. We can probably delete that because we've already repeated that ad nauseum and a little frustratingly. But anyway, and then complete the application. Double check that your enrollment code, that you've got the right effective date, that you have everything filled out accurately. Complete enrollment signatures, obviously. And again, deliver the physical enrollment. I already mentioned that there, the physical enrollment kit or electronically. If you're doing a virtual enrollment, you should send those in advance. That you know that they're going to be on the phone. They know they're going to be on the phone for an enrollment, and I would prep them and email that to them in advance so they can have a chance to look over it ahead of time. And then I would circle back around to the hospital indemnity, and then don't forget the health risk assessment. If you haven't been doing HRAs, and different carriers call them different things, I think what's Aetna VRB or I don't know, something like that. VRBO, no, not that. But get on board with these. And what WAP says, and I can 100% agree with, I would start, if you haven't done it yet, I'd start doing your enrollments virtually anyway, or even in person on a laptop or tablet. If you're in person with them, start doing them on the Medicare app, on Connecture, same thing, right? Start doing them electronically. That's so much better. You can download the information. You can do the scope of appointment electronically, text or email. You can do the apps, signatures electronically, either text or email. So you're going to save yourself a lot of time. On top of that, your top 3 carriers, at least, you should know how to go into their portals and do it. I think all the carriers, the major carriers, are going to be on the Medicare app this year. I know some of you say, well, Jarvis is really easy to work with. Fine, work through Jarvis. What I don't know for sure is if all the HRA opportunities will be on the Connecture Medicare app platform. So still trying to figure that out. But don't leave that money on the table. Cigna, I think, was $125. I know that's a lot of you aren't in the Valley, but $125 or no, wait, was it? It was WellCare, might have been Cigna too. WellCare dual plans, $125 is what I wrote down in my notes from WAPCon. Okay, so go through what happens after the enrollment. What's going to happen to your current plan if they have one. You'll need to cancel your Medicare supplement if you have a supplement. Here's what you can expect when you'll get your card, your welcome kit, or what you will be getting. And then a few things, again, make sure you got the application filled out accurately, you got the application scope, everything completed. Get a power of attorney document if required by the carriers. A lot of them say, if you got somebody else signing a power of attorney, just make sure we can get a copy if we request it. Okay, a little bit of repetition here. Leave your cards, duh. I'd also encourage a fridge magnet. They're not super expensive, and they're gonna more easily find that than the 3 cards that they put in their junk drawer. So I encourage a fridge magnet. I endorse a fridge magnet. Cross-selling, this is where you can let them know I do offer some other products, whether you offer home and auto insurance or final expense, or you want to jump into annuities or life insurance, great. You can't sell it here because it's not health related like you can with the hospital indemnity, but I would tease it here. And when you have what WAP calls their perfect service review, which should be part of your retention program, or what we call our review and queues, when you have that, 2 months after the enrollment or 3 months or whenever you're going to do it, you can swing back around to that. And I would explain your retention plan. Here's what we're going to do, Betty. Here's what the contact you're going to get from us. And what's the best way to communicate with you to set up an appointment? Is it text? Is it email? Golden information for you to get. Also say, please, right now while we're here, will you plug in our phone number, my phone number, so you know it's me calling. Put Aaron Medicare, or put whatever they can remember us by. And this is some key things that I found helpful over time that will help cement your relationship. I'm your lifelong partner. Questions that you have, I really want you to call me. There's some things that you might wonder, questions you have that I don't have access to. It's the internal, computer system of the carrier. So you might need to go to them for some things, but especially if you get frustrated, if you call the carrier and you're not getting your question answered and you're feeling frustrated by the plan or the customer service, whatever, that's when I want you to call me. I'm on your team. I don't work for the carriers. I'm independent. I work for you. These are all solidifying things that might not sound like they're rocket science type of comments, but they're things that I've crafted over time that do cement that relationship. So I'd encourage you to, if not something like this, find something else that works for you. But keep making sure they understand the importance of that relationship to us and them. I obviously I get a commission for helping out a plan, and I get that same commission every single year. So I'm highly incentivized to make sure you're happy. If you're not happy with the plan you have, great. I represent 10 other plans. Let's take a look. But this is really important. Something like that as well can, it doesn't sound, I don't think it sounds too self-serving. I think it's just real. I care about you as a person, but I'm incentivized to help you be happy. And then here's a statement that you can modify, but it's basically trying to debunk the commercials, ads, cold calls, things like that. So in that section, you can use something like that if you wish. And then, referrals, ask for referrals. Now this last little section here, I pulled that straight from 2023 AEP. So some of this is redundant, but this is what AEP says, the acknowledgments that we are supposed to share with the client. So when you get this, it'll be in a Word document. You can modify it. What I do, I've got this document I've got it at my office. I've got it sitting next to my computer screen, so I can make sure, okay, Betty, let me just double check. Let me just make sure that I've covered everything that I wanted to and needed to make sure I've covered, help you understand the plan. Nobody's going to balk at that. If you've got a clipboard and you kind of flip up to the very back page, let me just double check, Betty, to make sure that I've covered everything I need to. I think that is important for you to keep this handy. If you feel like you're covering all that and you've got that in your process and you're a seasoned agent, then great. But I think this is really important for you to have something like this. Take it, modify it, delete stuff that doesn't make sense to you or you don't want to say, but create something that you can have as a template, so that you do cover everything, especially now because our calls are being recorded, right? Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. So another question here, Jerry asked, is there a specific intake form? Yes, I've sent it out a few times, but I will send it out again. It's a PDF, it's a fillable form. So what I'd encourage you to do is, if you're going to use it electronically, I would keep a master, and then like make another copy of it and keep that one as your master someplace. And then as you go through and add a new client, you'll fill the information out and then save it as that person's name, put in whatever file folder that you keep for them. And then you've got the fresh one that you can go back to and for the next client. So that's what we do. That's what I encourage you to do. Every year when you go back, pre-AEP, this is what we do in our retention program. Pre-AEP, in August, we're going to call people and say, hey, how are you feeling about your plan? If barring any other major plan changes, have you been happy with your plan? Do you feel like you want to stay? We doing these assessments help us greatly. And in that same August or September call, we're saying, do you have any customer service issues that I can help now? Because we're like a CPA. Their March, April is our October, November, December. So if you got questions, let me help you now. Not that we can't ask them later, but anyway, that's the conversation that we'd have with them pre-AEP to help them get ready for it. Okay, but yes, I would use that intake. We update that. The point I was getting to is we update that. Their medications for sure, their doctors for sure, before we get to AEP, as much as we can for folks, so that when we go to shop, I've got the accurate information. I can shop another plan even before I talk to them. If they've said, yeah, I would like to shop, I'm interested in this plan. So I can shop that ahead of time. So I can have a one-touch retention opportunity. Okay, any other questions? I'm not seeing any, and it's noon, and I think you're probably hungry. Anyway, hey, sure appreciate each of you. It's saw almost all of you at WAPCon, and each of you are on the call are among my most highly engaged agents. And I hope that you're getting value from me, from Western Asset. And as always, please call. During AEP, we don't commonly keep, if we have a scheduled appointment, that kind of goes out the window. If you have questions, just call me or text me. Text me might be better if I'm on a sales call or if I'm with another agent or something like that. So, okay, I guess that's it. Thanks for attending. If you have lingering questions that you want to talk about with me, then just, again, shoot me a text. When can we chat? And give me kind of a topic, and I can be ready for a chat with you. All right, have a fantastic day. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.